And we're back right here with Andrew Heath and Allison Fulton. Andrew is with the Georgia Department of Transportation, and Allison is the Director of Sales for the GAB, which is the Georgia Association of Broadcasters. And we're talking about Andrew's, well, the GOT's new program about the Drive Alert, Arrive Alive. And I think that's really a good name for this, because it's what you need to do. Alert. You've got to be looking at the road. You got to be paying attention to what you're doing.
That's correct. We call it almost a simple 3 steps to driving appropriately. 1, put down your phone. 2, put your seatbelt on. Mm-hmm. And 3, pay attention.
Absolutely.
It's a very simple campaign. It's meant to drive awareness to this issue of this spike in fatalities that we've seen associated with distracted driving in Georgia. And those are 3 very simple things that everybody can do to be safer out there on the roadways. I
know that this time of the year there's a lot of school buses and kids with their own cars anymore. You know, maybe a bunch of them turned 16. And of course, that's going to help mom and dad out with them going to school on their own. But that's the whole thing. Before they go out that door, just remind them. And I know they hate to be reminded. Oh, Mom, I can remember it. My son, you know I'm careful. And my daughter, you know, Mother, I would be careful. But anyway, make sure as they go out the door, tell them to be careful.
Yeah, and we at Georgia DOT, we've had sort of a long-standing task force within our safety programs associated and looking at young driver issues. And one of those is an overrepresented group in terms of the number of fatalities for drivers between the ages of 16 and 24. And we have a group that dedicates their time essentially to trying to work with young drivers and educate young drivers to really tackle that issue, that we do see more serious injuries and fatalities with that younger group, and trying to, instill good driving habits and good driving behavior amongst those younger drivers.
Well, you say fatalities involving commercial motor vehicle crashes with smaller passenger vehicles account for about 10%.
That's right.
All traffic deaths.
That's right, and I'm sure this isn't news to anybody, but as you see out there on the roadways, we just see continued growth in the number of trucks and large commercial vehicles out there. We've had, we continue to have tremendous growth down in Savannah at the Port of Savannah, which is leading to a lot of these, increased tractor trailer presence on our roadways, and that we've got to push that messaging as well, that they're out there, that you've got to be on your best driving behavior when you're trying to negotiate around these trucks, and know that they can't stop or start as quickly as you might be able to. That's right. Sure. And so just treating them with respect and pushing that issue as well is a key focus of ours.
Went to Nashville this weekend, and there was as many trucks as there were cars on the road. Yeah, I can believe it. Well, we have to have them. They have to deliver our goods that we eat, and the things that has to be delivered, and the transportation of a big truck. Just think about how difficult it is to get through Atlanta in your car. Right. Let's face it. Right. What about a big truck and you're driving, an 18-wheeler, and you're going through town? Well, you've got to be considerate of each other. That's right. And when you look at these trucks out there, one of the things that you've really got to watch out for is that speed differential between yourself and the truck. They've got, when they're fully loaded, they have challenges accelerating up a hill. If you're going down the interstate and you see a truck in front of you, you decide to then take a look at your phone and answer an email or send a text, and then all of a sudden you look up and you're right on the truck and you didn't even realize it. So you've really got to be mindful with the type of growth we're seeing, and that they're out there, and to pay attention. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, I think truckers are careful. They have to be. Absolutely. They could. We'd have more wrecks if they weren't. Right. And I have to give them credit, because they've got a hard job. They've got a long haul, and we saw one overturned between Monteagle or coming down Monteagle. It had jackknifed and overturned, And I don't know if the driver got out alive or what, but it really looked bad. We passed that, and
yeah, I can tell you, we've spoken with a lot of these shipping companies and these trucking fleets that are out there. You know, that's their workplace when they're in their truck. That's where they go to work, and so they do have strong pushes on safety standards from their perspective, making sure that their drivers are exercising good driving behavior as well. And we also have a strong partnership with our motor carrier compliance division through Georgia State Patrol, in that when they're enforcing standards and enforcing driving behavior amongst the trucking community, that we can kind of push this messaging through them as well.
Well, the I guess maybe the people that walk. You said walker safety is shared responsibility between drivers and pedestrians. Let me give you a little law that's on the books. Anyone that is walking on the side of a road that has no sidewalks, they're supposed to be 2 feet from the concrete. That's a law. That's what the State Patrol told me. And people don't. They walk on the highway.
Right.
And if there's another car coming and you're going that way and here's this pedestrian walking towards you, you don't have much room to mess with. You don't have wiggle room. So how can we educate these people that that's against the law? That's
a big part of our see and be seen piece, and talking about that shared responsibility is understanding when you're a pedestrian what those laws are that you have to follow as a pedestrian to be to travel appropriately and safely on the roadways. Whether it's walking on the right side of the street, whether it's crossing at designated areas. All those types of things are the pedestrian's responsibility for doing. Similarly, as a driver, you've got to know what are the laws associated with right-of-way for pedestrians. If a pedestrian is in the crosswalk, it's your responsibility to provide the right-of-way to them.
That's right.
Things of that nature, so that both sides are doing the things that they need to do to keep each other safe. And that's why we like to think of this as truly a shared responsibility between both.
You said 9 out of 10 pedestrians die when struck by a vehicle traveling at 40 miles per hour. That's 90%. Then that's eye-opening.
It is. It really is, and especially
you can be killed if a car is traveling and hits you at 40 miles an hour.
It's an incredible statistic. Where at 40 miles an hour doesn't seem that quick, but when you think about the momentum of your vehicle, one of the ones that is really shocking to me is when you look at a vehicle. You're very familiar with a sort of a neighborhood street where the speed limit is 25 miles an hour. At 25 miles an hour, it's kind of reversed. A pedestrian has about a 90% chance of living if they were hit by a vehicle at 25 miles an hour. If you raise that to 35 miles an hour, it's reduced down to only a 40% chance of living, right? But so think about how many people on those neighborhood streets, even though the speed limit's 25, they might be going 35 just because it's just a little over the speed limit.
Yeah.
But that 10 miles an hour makes an incredible difference in terms of if an incident did occur and the outcome of that incident.
Well, I don't ever want to be hit by one going 40 miles an hour. I don't think I would like that.
No.
And we've got to take responsibility. Don't you think? That's each person that's involved has a responsibility. They're not out there saying, well, somebody can watch me and they can take care and not hit me.
That's correct.
You've got to do that.
Yeah,
You've got to make sure.
It's an individual responsibility. When we look at the data behind the crashes and what's going on, we really see this. It's driving behavior is what's causing this increase. And it comes down to individual responsibility and taking the appropriate steps to drive safely, because you may be saving your own life.
You got that right. And to me, if you've got children in the car, that's precious cargo, and you don't want to have any kind of thing happen to those little babies. Let's see now, real quick. I don't have time. We've run out of time. See, time flies when you're having fun. But I want to thank you, Andrew Heath and Allison Fulton. Andrew is with the GOT, and Allison is with GAB, the Georgia Association of Broadcasters. Thank y'all so much for coming up from Atlanta.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming and seeing us here on Talk of the Town. And they'll be featured on Around and About real soon. So be listening for that on the weekends. Tomorrow's another day, folks. I hope you enjoy it.